So it's been a while since we've had any new information regarding the next generation Nintendo system or the Nintendo Switch 2, as from all the rumors that we heard about last year, everything was kind of lining up that Nintendo was getting ready to launch their next generation system towards the holiday time this year. And given how Nintendo barely has any games for the Nintendo Switch this year, I mean, like the only new game was the Princess Peach Showtime game, which came out just a few days ago. Everything else, like right now, like we've got Luigi's Mansion 2 HD and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door remake, those are still just re-releases of older games. So in terms of like new content, there isn't really like any big new games coming out on the Nintendo Switch this year. Even like Pokemon Legends ZA, which was announced, is coming out in 2025. It really just seems like there isn't much coming out this year in 2024 because there's going to be an announcement later for their next system, and it was going to be coming out around the holiday time this year, probably with like a big new Mario game or something to get people very excited and start their next generation. And Nate the Hate, who's been one of the most accurate leakers that we have right now when it comes to Nintendo stuff, and has gotten a lot of things correct like Nintendo Directs and new game announcements and things like that, was even saying that according to his sources, everything was lining up internally for Nintendo to reveal their next system at some time this month in March. But just a few weeks later after he said this, in very early February, we had a ton of big video game websites like Video Games Chronicle, Bloomberg, and Eurogamer, these large reputable websites that were coming out saying that they've heard from their sources that Nintendo has actually internally delayed their next generation Nintendo system, and they've been telling their partners that they're not going to have the Switch 2 ready in 2024 and to start preparing now for an early 2025 launch. And considering how this wasn't just some random insider who was saying this, but multiple huge websites that a lot of people really have a lot of faith into, it kind of seemed like this was pretty much the nail in the coffin that, yeah, the Nintendo Switch 2 is really not going to be coming out this year, and it was very kind of weird why this was happening. Well, Nate the Hate has finally given his kind of response and really kind of dug deep into trying to find out as much information as he could about this, where he released his latest podcast episode, really taking a deep dive into the Nintendo Switch 2 situation and really going over kind of the information that he has. So I do have it linked below in the description if you want to go and listen to it yourself, but I pretty much picked out the big points that he was discussing, and that's what we're going to talk about because it still does give us some interesting information for what could be happening with the Nintendo Switch 2. And then we've also got a very interesting leak that was coming from a supposed insider as well, so we're going to be talking about that towards the end of the video. So now regarding the internal delay, Nate was talking in his podcast about how when he heard that the Nintendo Switch 2 was going to be revealed in March, this was actually when he asked his inside sources very early into January. And so he seemed like everything was kind of on track and like everything was going to happen just like what he had heard. And this whole delay to 2025 was actually very recently from Nintendo. Like it seems like internally everything was planned to have the system come out in 2024, but it seems like just during the last couple of days or weeks or whenever we got like the news that the delay kind of happened, it pretty much seems like it happened very recently internally with Nintendo as well, where we don't know the exact reasoning because it seems like it's not really hardware related, as it seems like according to everybody that pretty much the system has been done for a while now. Like I'm sure they've already kind of got like everything that they've wanted, like in terms of like the UI for the system, how it's going to look, like everything with the system and the hardware itself is done, but it seems like maybe Nintendo wanted more time to get their games ready, maybe have some more development time so that their games can be more polished and stuff and they can have a better range of games during launch, and that really seems to be kind of the big speculation for why this was internally delayed. Another big topic that was brought up inside of Nate's podcast is that one thing that wasn't delayed was the Nintendo investors and shareholders meeting, which is going to be happening this year on May 7th. So Nintendo pretty much always meets with their shareholders and investors every couple of months to give them updates about where the company is headed and kind of their sales and kind of business profits and all of that. And that is going to be happening this year in May. And the thing is, if we kind of had the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal go exactly like what was rumored before, where if they actually revealed their next system in March, then a lot of these investors going into this meeting would be like, okay, Nintendo recently just announced their next system, we kind of have an idea of where exactly everything is heading, so we're pretty much ready to kind of see what exactly they're going to do. But that's the thing, is that Nate even mentioned this, is that if we get to May 7th and this meeting happens, and before then we have no type of announcement or anything official from Nintendo at all, that they've begun working on their next generation system or that they're going to share more details about it soon, it's definitely going to be a very, very interesting meeting. a lot of Nintendo's big shareholders and investors are going to start questioning Mr. Furukawa and asking, like, what's going on here? Like, we haven't heard anything from Nintendo, like, there's barely any games coming out, we don't know anything about your next-gen system, like, what's going on? What are you guys planning? And I feel like there's definitely going to be a lot of tension in the room, and I don't think that Mr. Furukawa can really kind of dance around the question like he's always done before, where anytime he was asked about new hardware, he would always just be like, well, you know, we're still focusing on the Switch, and we still got a lot of stuff coming. I feel like now that we've pretty much had the Nintendo Switch out for 7 years, just saying that we're still working on the Switch and still focusing our energy into that, it's not really going to make investors pleased if that's what they have to hear in May. Now, this next thing isn't a leak or a rumor from any inside sources, but rather an educated guess from Nate himself, as he still feels like from any time now until before that May 7th investors meeting happens, Nintendo is probably still going to have to make some type of official announcement of their next generation system. Now, whether that's just an announcement that they're working on it and they're going to share more details soon, or if they actually have like the full-blown reveal trailer and we actually get to see what the system looks like and any of that, it's still going to be that Nintendo has to announce this before that meeting happens, because they need to let people know that they're working on this before those investors come in and start asking questions. So Nate still feels like this is probably going to happen, and he feels like it could happen anytime. He doesn't have any type of like inside sources on when exactly it could happen, but personally, he feels like that there is going to be some type of announcement before this meeting. Now, regarding inside information that Nate does have from his sources, he did talk about how it seems like, according to his sources, Nintendo has been reaching out to a lot of publishing partners and third parties, asking them for video assets and other trailers and things to use. And so this definitely seems to indicate that maybe Nintendo is preparing to have like a video reveal for the next generation system, as if we think about how exactly they revealed the Nintendo Switch, they did have some third-party games that were shown off inside of that reveal trailer as well. We got to see like NBA 2K, and they showed us, I think they showed us Skyrim as well, so we did get to see some third-party games as well. So maybe that's what they want to do for the Switch 2 reveal, where we're going to see some third-party games running on the Switch 2 as well, maybe some surprising ones that you wouldn't expect. So I definitely think that something like that is possible, but it still doesn't give us an idea for when exactly this reveal could happen, because they could be getting ready for this and we might not hear about it until like the end of the summer. But I do feel like if this investors meeting is going to happen, it might be better off to just have the announcement for their next system, or announce that they're working on it at some point before the meeting. Otherwise, everyone is just going to be asking what's going on. And honestly, it doesn't even need to be like a video trailer that actually shows us what the system is going to look like and the games running on it, because if they don't want to show us that right now, they can still just make an announcement that they're working on the next system and then have the actual reveal trailer that shows us what the system looks like and all of that later in the year, because this is pretty much exactly how they revealed the Nintendo 3DS. And you can see right here, this was literally just a PDF document that was uploaded to Nintendo for their shareholders and investors on March 23rd of 2010, where it just says, "To whom it may concern, launch of new portable game machine. Nintendo will launch Nintendo 3DS," and that was still a temporary name at the time, where it ended up being the final name too, where it just says, "During the fiscal year ending in March of 2011, on which games can be enjoyed with 3D effects without the need for any special glasses. Nintendo 3DS is going to be the new portable game machine to succeed the Nintendo DS series." And so they're basically just talking about how the sales kind of ended with 125 million units, and it will include backwards compatibility so that software for Nintendo DS games, including the new ones for DSi, can also be enjoyed. We are planning to announce additional details at E3, at the E3 show, which is scheduled to be held from June 15, 2010 at Los Angeles in the US. So that's pretty much all you need. Like, you just need the exact same thing if you want to do this before the investors meeting this year, where you could just have this come out, or it could be a tweet or something where, you know, Nintendo will launch their next generation Nintendo Switch during fiscal year ending in March of 2025. It's going to be a new game device to succeed the Nintendo Switch, and they could even announce that there is going to be backwards compatibility so you can play current Switch games on it, and we're going to plan to announce to show like additional details towards the end of this year or whatever, and they could just have that. And having this information going into the meeting, any investor would be like, okay, they announced the system, we know it's coming, we don't have to ask anymore for what exactly they're doing. However, regarding other potential inside information about the next generation Switch, we have this information here from Nash Weedle, which was tweeted here by Stealth, where he says here, according to Nash Weedle, Switch 2 dev kits have been updated to go one step further. He claims this information comes directly from a developer who has access to the dev kit. Nash Weedle speculated it might have something to do with the DLSS upscaler functionality. I think it's safe to say developers probably do have Switch 2 dev kits at this point, so I definitely think that developers have been working on Switch 2 games for a while. Like that, I don't think that it's too hard to believe. Like if the system was supposed to come out during the holiday time of this year, they definitely had dev kits like at some point last year, and they've been working on Switch 2 games, maybe even before then. I'm sure Nintendo's own teams have had like dev kits for a long time. But the interesting thing is how the dev kits have apparently been updated to go one step further, and the speculation was that it has something to do with the DLSS. So really the only thing that I can think of is maybe the version of DLSS, because that was one thing that people were kind of confused on. I think originally people were saying that it was going to be just DLSS 3 or DLSS 3.1 or something like that, but maybe now it's going to be one of the more recent versions of DLSS. So either way, if it's been updated and if this is coming from an actual developer, it's just good news all around, and I'm hoping that it does mean that the upscaling technology is going to be better and that games can look even better on this system. But yeah, there you go guys, that is pretty much all of the recent updates and information that we have right now regarding Nintendo's next generation system and the Switch 2. If you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel, as well as I'm definitely gonna have some more videos talking about the Switch 2, so definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about all of this. Do you guys feel like this makes a lot of sense here for what exactly Nintendo could be doing, and that there probably is going to be some type of announcement or reveal before their investors meeting in May? What do you guys think about the possibility that the dev kits may have been updated and Nintendo reaching out to partners for video assets and things? What do you guys think about everything? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. Go follow me on Twitter at @Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros. And Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.